Welcome back to the channel today, guys. This is the mad dash of getting the car ready before my wedding. So I'm going to be jumping around a lot, not really going into too much detail with a lot of this stuff. And I know that I have a portion where I'm talking about the Wilwood brakes. In my last video, we went ahead and got that resolved at this point. Anyway, there's a lot going on, so it's a little chaotic. This was the last about 10 days leading up to our wedding. So it was
okay, guys. Welcome back. Today we're gonna be working on the windshield install.
A lot of pressure to get this car done,
so,
and I can say that we successfully did.
Here it is.
So stay tuned.
One of the issues that I already ran into is leaving the tape on there for a few days. You can see I got this residue, and it was not fun trying to get it off. So right now I'm just using some glass cleaner and a razor blade, and I'm just kind of scraping it off little bit by little bit. It's working, but definitely taking some time. So I'm just gonna keep getting that going, and I'll update you guys after. Throw you guys on time lapse, and after that I'll go about how I'm gonna try and install this windshield. I'm hoping I can get it, because once I can do that, then I can actually drive the car. So we will see if that happens or not. So we're back, and after scraping off all that tape, I can tell you that was just not fun. I am going to have to probably go back and get some other spots once we do get it installed, but I do know that we're going to get handprints or anything else on it. So as you can see, the vast majority of it is off. Probably missed a couple little spots, but that'll be fine because it will be covered by the gasket. And as you can see, our house is getting ready for our wedding, so we are come down to crunch time on getting this installed. We have all our decorations and everything over there organized. So let me grab the gasket. We'll go over that really quick. So here is the gasket. This is from Dan over at Maryland Mustang. Check them out. This is a, I believe, Dan Carpenter gasket. So the way it fits, which I'm sure you know if you're going to be doing this yourself, is there are two kind of gasket pieces here, and the glass will go in here, this little fold, all the way around. So you're going to see essentially this entire piece, which really sucks because it's got primer on there, and I'm hoping I can get that off. If not, hopefully the chrome trim covers it. And then on the back side, you have this flange here, and that flange goes around the pinch weld. So my plan is to get the glass inside of this, and I'm going to use some glass cleaner as hopefully lubricant to try and get it inside this flange all the way around. And once I get this back inside the car, I'm going to do what Joe Daddy did on his garage, or on his YouTube video. And then I will go back once it's all in place, kind of peel this up and run some caulk on the inside there. And then I do plan on caulking with some 3M or wherever the auto parts store has, kind of around all this edge too. And then on the inside of the vehicle as well, I should be able to get in around that pinch weld and kind of throw something in there. So when you first get this gasket, it is a little confusing because it comes kind of wrapped up in its package, so it might take you a second to get it laid out correctly. I know mine was twisted one way, and I had to play with it for a second to understand it, so hopefully that'll help you out. I'm gonna go ahead and put some music on and get to it. I imagine this is probably going to be pretty difficult getting this all in there. It does not look fun. So I will start and wish me luck. Okay guys, now that I got this pretty well figured out and I've done almost all of them, figured I'd really show you how they work. So here we have our stud. So if you just kind of press it in there to get started, kind of like that. Take a small screwdriver and a big one or you'll scratch. And there's actually a little indent right there. You just push. As you saw, the little center section there expanded, clips it right into place. So actually not that difficult once you get down. Yeah, thought I'd show everybody that. So it looks like there's 3 on each A-pillar on the sides, and then there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going across. They look pretty evenly spaced because I know somebody might need these measurements. So it looks like it's centered up, 2 kind of centered here on the rear view mirror, and then from there that's just split. I would say pretty even all the way across. Looks like it's the same way down here, except for just kind of split all the way across a little bit further out. You know, I'd probably say close to 8 inches or so. And it's not closer in the middle. Nope. So, cool. So we are back. It is actually the next day here, and the windshield is in. Well, I couldn't get it, so I paid the company to go ahead and get it, and it cost me about 250 bucks. Nah, $279 to have them install it. But really happy with it because I mean I couldn't get it, so looks really good. Some of those scratches on the A-pillar there, that was absolutely from me, not them. So they were awesome. They are a company called Automotive Concepts out of Glen Burnie, Maryland. And then I'm gonna go back in and see about adding in some like caulk right in there. And I think that's just because the gasket, whenever I was messing with it, I kind of pried on it probably a little too much. So yeah, right in that area might be a little bit of a problem, but I'll have the chrome trim over it. But yeah, she's looking like a car again, so really freaking happy with it. Especially because it's about to start raining. So we did have a pretty big problem though. So car wasn't exactly road ready getting it over there, but I had to bring it in because they needed their shop. They couldn't do it mobile. And well, we had a few problems. So start with the good. We wired up the headlights, got them installed. I'm missing the trim rings that go around because I forgot to bring those down when I painted the car. So I'm probably just gonna paint them black and kind of keep like the red and kind of separate up. So I think that'll work for the front. So set to install those. Those went on easy. Everything went good there. The door handles, everything went pretty good. Issue here, this one's got some mark and some scratches on it, which it didn't. So I'm assuming I sanded that on accident way back when. And then the lock cylinder here, it is in my bag, labeled, and it has like a million different parts that are like in the lock cylinder itself, like the springs and stuff came out. Don't know how that happened, so that sucks. Have to figure that out. The back end, we got a lot of parts on here, and looks really good. Got it cut and buffed. Looks better from here. I'm probably about 5 feet away. But if you start getting up really, really close and getting the light right, you can still see there's still a lot of orange peel and everything. But man, is it nice and smooth. I think some of the stuff in this is obviously just for me and the bodywork and everything we did, the painting and everything. So exhaust is there, it needs work. But big issue, this front caliper. So you can see I got Willwoods. And while they work good, I do have to say, if I could do it over, I don't know if I would use Willwoods. Installation from the very beginning was not great. Everything did fit, directions were somewhat adequate. You know, I remember going through it, and they could have cleaned some things up. like notating that the caliper goes on the front of the rotor. That was just one thing that I had no idea about because I've never worked on a classic car. So I'll take the hit there, but little things like that would have been useful. And then they did not label any of the hardware very well. It just said, you know, 1/2 inch by 8, and there's 8 in this, you know, pack. They really should have done a better job, and let me tell you why. So as you can see, that is the top caliper mounting hole. That should be going into the caliper bracket. Caliper should be all the way over there, not in the wheel, as you can see. And I actually grinded down the caliper a whole bunch right here on my way home. Locked up the whole car because it'll pull over, pushed it back, and I was actually at auto shop, but they were useless. They had no idea when I was kind of telling them, hey, you know, you guys got anything? This is what's going on. Can you guys, I'll leave it here tonight if you guys can get it. But they weren't very helpful. Anyway, the reason that happened is because I remember when I installed it, there are coarse threads and fine threads, and they interchange them. So like the caliper mounting bracket, I think used fine threads, and I used a coarse bolt. Again, not knowing because it wasn't labeled. I'm assuming that's the issue because as I've read around online, other people have had similar issues where they just don't label their stuff good enough. So in order to limp it home about a mile, we just have a bungee cord holding it on. So basically didn't have this side brake, so pretty scary, but we were able to get it home. So now I'm just gonna leave it as is. I think for the night I'm just gonna call it. I'm gonna have to order a new caliper mounting bracket and go from there. And as you can see, we have like this weird rust on the inside of the rotor. It looks like that caliper mounting bracket is almost right there on the rotor touching. And that is on both sides, so you can see over there. So I don't get it. I've tried really liking these calipers and the whole system. I've tried multiple times. Even from bleeding the master cylinder, that was a nightmare, and I don't think I had a video of that, but bench bled it to the best of my ability, and I had to bleed, I mean, probably gallons of brake fluid until they finally even worked a little bit, and then had to really get in there and keep doing it, working on it until they finally actually worked, you know, pretty decent. There's a lot of other people who have issues if you look around online with bleeding these things. So I don't know what's going on there. I was planning on taking this to a shop and having them kind of go through the brakes and everything as well, but right now I can't even do that. So I'm going to have to get on the line, order another caliper mounting bracket, and hopefully everything works. To my understanding, the way it does work is this top guy isn't threaded on the caliper itself, just a caliper mounting bracket. So I was even thinking about tapping and dyeing the caliper mounting bracket, but that caliper mounting bracket is like on the rotor. It shouldn't be like that. I don't know why it's like that. I can't get anything in there, which is weird. Maybe I ordered the wrong set from CJ Pony back in the day. I don't know. So I'll have to try and do some research and figure that out tonight. Oh, another issue I had with them, this center cap has fallen off 3 or 4 times. I actually found it in the neighborhood one day when we were walking. I was like, huh, what was that just hit my shoe? And it was center cap for my Mustang. So as of right now, pretty dissatisfied with all of the Wilwood stuff, especially now that I've done more research, and you can use the Mustang Steve kits and other kits that just adapt regular 94 up SN95 chassis Mustang calipers for 1/3 of the price. I think these are about $1,200. I think that kit's like $5 or $6. But then if you have to get the master cylinder and everything, that's another like $500. And then if you're like me, you had to reorder the lines that go from the master cylinder to the proportioning valve because yours were bent and it wouldn't fit. So that's what I'm saying about a third, because by the time you look it in, I mean, I'm probably close to $1,800 on those, and I could have gone with just regular Mustang brakes for, you know, probably, well, I think they're like $500 a kit. So as of right now, yeah, not too happy with the Willwoods at all. So hopefully they get better, and I'll retract some of my statements, but they have been one thing that has given me issues along the entire way. Yeah, so other than that, this is just going to be a random video about issues with the Willwoods, and then I will throw this on with the windshield video probably. Okay guys, so today I'm going to be caulking up my windshield. I had the windshield installed, as you guys know, and it was leaking in a few places, so I went back over to the installer local to me, and while they did a really good job, they just went ahead and gave me a tube of the sealant. This is what they gave me. Let's try and get that in. Move the camera here. So this American Sealant 335, and after talking with them, they said this stuff cleans up really good. It can go pretty much everywhere. I'm kind of out of the frame here. So some of the bigger issues that I had last night, especially because it was raining, is kind of the top here. So I'm gonna hopefully, with this cut at a good enough angle, kind of jam it up in and underneath the seal, and kind of on top of the seal, mainly right through here. And we have a huge gap around this whole corner right in here. So that's just where the gasket really seemed to be a little too long, if that makes sense. So it actually bunched up on the inside of the car here. Let me show you. So right up here in this corner, you can see the gasket. I might have to switch the camera around. Right here, it actually dips kind of down. So I don't know if you guys can see that. And that's just because the gasket was a little bit long, and that's from getting a ton of water there, and then a ton of water. Can I flip this? No, I can't. And then a ton of water kind of where the rear view mirror's at. So unfortunately, then that goes down, it gets on the seats, it gets on the center console, and it kind of just gets everywhere. So it's actually not raining, not snowing either. So I'm going to go ahead and silicone the crap out of the outside. I'm going to start with the top in that corner, and I'll put you guys on time lapse, and then any extra I do have, I'm going to go ahead and jam it all on the inside. So yeah, let's hope this goes well. So there you have it, pretty easy. I'm not one of those guys who can make caulk look great. Some of those guys on construction jobs and stuff, they're honestly pretty impressive, but threw down a very thick bead everywhere, as you can see. Feeling pretty happy with it, and that everything will work. It looks like I may need to get back in behind this clip right there a little bit more. But I used almost one whole tube, and I didn't do the bottom, hoping that doesn't bite me in the butt later on. And this clip right here really messed me up. So, but all through the top looks really good. Now I just need to go back in, and if I could do it over, would have put a tape line down from here at the top of this line here all the way down. But to be honest, I wasn't really sure how this stuff went on, which it went on awesome. Super smooth, definitely kind of easy to play with it. This side was much better when I first had my glove going. It just smoothed right on out, and I think I just had some globs on my glove when I got onto that side. So yeah, hopefully this will let it protect. This stuff does need to set up for about 10 minutes if it's 75 degrees outside. We're about 35 degrees outside, so I'm hoping in a couple hours it will set up. Unfortunately, my car does live outside, so I really won't be able to get it out of the weather. I do have a car cover, but it traps in the water, as I found out. So my brand new front bumper, rear bumper, front bumper wasn't new, brand new rear bumper had a little bit of very minor like corrosion, and almost looked like surface rust after sitting for a couple days, and that's because it just trapped water. It sat on here somewhere, and then the cover just kind of kept it right there. So I might throw the cover on tonight. I'm not sure. Back window doesn't leak. Obviously these windows aren't exactly the best. So still had no water in. Last night it's the hardest it's rained probably since I've owned the car, and I drove it about a half a mile or so, and found out my windshield wipers don't work, and yeah, I mean, I was sitting in a puddle of water. So very glad I can at least get this done tonight, and hopefully let it set up, and then I'm gonna let this set up for a little bit, and I'm hoping I can come back in, and I'm gonna get a little bucket of warm water with some Dawn dish soap, and then I can just use my fingers and kind of help sculpt it, wipe it off, sculpt it, wipe it off, and kind of get that stuff off of the paint there. And then I also do have the windshield chrome, which I tried putting on before, and honestly it was right before my wedding, so it was just one of those things that I didn't have time to really mess with it. It didn't go on in about 5 minutes, then I didn't have time to really get going. That was a hectic time, so it just wasn't a priority. Tried throwing it on really quick, didn't work. So I do have time tonight. I'm going to go ahead and try and throw that on. Probably got about another 30 to 45 minutes of sunlight before it starts getting pretty dark. So I'm going to mess with that for a little bit, and that'll be it for this video. I'll put you guys on time lapse while I do that, and you guys can probably watch me struggle. I am going to get that chrome out here and see if it'll cover up all this. See what it covers. I think it should cover up the vast majority, and if it does, I'd rather have a little bit more than not. That way hopefully it doesn't leak. And then I used, I would say, very close to probably only like half a tube or so. Let me look at it. Yeah, probably a little over half a tube. See, if you had 2 tubes, why everybody says that, it would make sense, especially because I've seen other people get down in between this gasket here. But I don't know if it's because it's cold or not, but I can't get down in there. So I'm hoping if I just do it on the outside it works. And if it doesn't work, when it warms up this spring, then I will go ahead and try and get down in there and reassess on getting that sealed up. So I'll put you guys on time lapse. I'm going to try and throw some chrome on and see what happens. Alright, welcome back, guys. We're going to be working on the rear bumper today. So I got everything kind of set up and fitting some stuff off camera. So my issue is getting married next Saturday. It's currently Sunday, so I got 6 days. Can't find anybody that has these rear brackets that can give them to me in time. So I'm gonna have to make these ones work for now. They are pretty crappy to say the least. So I just went ahead and grinded them down, trying to at least see what good metal is there, or lack thereof good metal. And then in order to get this rear bumper on, hopefully I can get a new one of these from Dan over at Maryland Mustang. I'm going to contact him, and hopefully he has that and these bumper brackets in stock. So if he does, I will go ahead and get all of it and replace it all. But in the off chance he doesn't, which I don't think he does, last time I talked to him, I need to have a rear bumper on there for our wedding. So I ground all these down. I'm going to go ahead and weld these in, and then I just took these little flanges here on the sides, as you can see, and I just took them on my vise, knocked them down, try and get them flat. That way they actually fit up in their location, and then I don't have any issues. So you can kind of see there, they essentially just slide on up into place, and that's pretty much it. And then we just run a bolt through the inside coming out to the rear bumper. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on getting those kind of fit up and everything, and if everything looks good, then I will go ahead and weld those in. Well, I'm gonna weld them in regardless, that way I do have a rear bumper, and And then I'm gonna have to try and figure out how to clean up that rear bumper if I do have to use it. Hoping I don't have to, but we'll see. So that's it for the rear bumper. I'm gonna go ahead and weld, these pieces in. I mean, there's really not much to it. Just those bumper brackets, weld them in, throw a bolt in. That's about it. And we should be fine after that. If everything does line up and it's good to go, and I can move on to my next task, which is just finishing everything up before the wedding, then I will move on to something else. So I think this is going to be kind of just a last ditch effort video of everything I'm going to get done, and if I need to go into more detail about things, I can. So I'll get back with you guys after I weld this all in. So now we're back. I got the rear bumper installed. Only had 2 screws, so I have to go get 2 more. Now I'm working on getting a temporary exhaust hanger made. So I bought this a long time ago, just some like metal rod, some stainless, and then a universal bushing from the hardware store, or from the auto parts store. So now I have this guy, and what I did was I just did a little pie cut out, as you guys can see, and now I'm going to try and put that on my vise, bend it over to make a 90. If that does work, then I'll show you guys where it is going to go and where I'm going to weld that onto for more of a temporary thing. Unless it holds really well, I might keep it. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get working on this, and then I'll update you guys afterwards. Okay guys, so I got some other stuff done on the Mustang. Went ahead and tried using some steel wool on the rear bumper. Kind of worked, but that one's pretty far gone. Next up was I made an exhaust mount. If you can see that up there, I just used some of that tubing that I had, as I previously spoke about, and then I just used that little rubber exhaust hanger. It's like a universal one from the auto parts store. Kind of similar on this side, except for I didn't have an exhaust hanger, so I just welded it onto the muffler. I just had a little exhaust clamp, one of those flat ones on the muffler where it connects to like the tailpipe. So I just threw a couple tacks on there. My welds look horrible, is what it is. They usually would look a lot better, but my welding hood, I don't have a battery for it, and the hood is completely dead. So I am literally doing it blind, looking at it and kind of guessing. So those are not a permanent solution. Those are made to be temporary, just to get us around and for our wedding to actually have exhaust. Because right now, every time I drive, basically I have to take off the tailpipes completely, or from the muffler, or they fall. So this one doesn't fall as much, but that one would fall out every single time, and the entire exhaust would fall on the ground. And then I think it was the passenger side, the muffler actually was scraping the ground as well. Or no, that was the driver's side. The muffler was scraping the ground because it just wasn't connected or anything either. So hopefully this will be fine. We already take it for a test drive around the subdivision and kind of see where that goes. And then I went ahead and threw the dash pad in, so we got that in now, and that was a very simple install. Mine came kind of ripped original, didn't have any of the hardware or anything, so it just kind of slides over, which is fine because I want to go with a aftermarket TMI one down the road. Unfortunately, getting a hold of TMI around SEMA has not been easy, to say the least. Been going back and forth trying to get a hold of them for probably close to 2 months now, because I wanted to buy a dash pad, a headliner. I had some questions about the quarter panel and the door panels and everything like that. I had some questions about stuff, and I just have not been able to get anything from them. And let's see, I drilled and tapped the Willwood caliper mounting bracket. The top bolt came undone. Called them, and again, they were, honestly, the guy I got wasn't all that helpful. He said that he couldn't do anything for me unless I had a part number of the bracket itself, which I understand that. But the other guy I worked with, because I've had to call them 3, maybe 4 times in the entire break process, they've been pretty good. But I'm going to say it, for the money that you spend for Willwood stuff, I wouldn't do it again. Just, you can get the Streeter Track brackets for the SN95 brakes, and I would much rather do that for the price Now, if it was a more dedicated race car, sure, go with Will Woods, but you know, they look good. I mean, they perform good. I wouldn't say they perform any better than any other disc brakes that are non-power. But the headache that they've caused, honestly, just isn't worth it. They have some coarse threads, some fine threads, and the instructions were horrible. At least when I got the kit, I looked on their website. It looks like they have gotten significantly better. But they just gave you like a box of bolts, and it didn't say anything on it. Didn't have thread pitch. It just had a number. It said like 8 in box or something like that. And so you had to, you know, dry fit everything, test fit stuff, and figure it out. And it was just, you know, for the money, I really thought it'd be, you know, pretty good. It was my first time doing it, so I can say some of my stuff was probably wrong too. And then they didn't even, like, stupid thing, they should have told you that the caliper goes on the front, not the back. Because reading around online, people put it on the back. Looking at pictures online, some of the calipers are on the back, but Will Woods are on the front. So when I looked around online, originally did it, caliper mounting bracket I had on the back, couldn't get anything to fit. Looked around online, some people had to cut their suspension. Turns out they go on the front. So I wasn't the only one who just, you know, didn't notice that. And then on the inside of the rotors, you can see the caliper mounting brackets bolts. They're too long a little bit. So until they get rubbed off on the actual inside of the rotor and kind of score the inside of the rotor, they don't, you know, they don't work that great. And that was after I called them. You know, they told me that I may have used the wrong bolt or anything, but then going over the guy that I talked with, even he was kind of confused. So I mean, he really did his due diligence. For the proportioning valve, I had to order new lines for that. The stainless lines that came with it, I couldn't get them to fit, and talked with them, and I don't know if their quality control and that was bad or not, but mine were like, I think I have a video, I'm not for sure. I mean, it was like an inch off. It wasn't like I could muscle it on or anything. Like literally the bend on one was wrong. So I had to deal with that. And then one of the flex lines for the front brake lines, I guess, had a nick or something in it as well. So I had to go through the entire process of rebuilding all the brake lines because I couldn't figure it out. And did that, and then found out that one of the flex lines was leaking about halfway through. So can't say I'm too happy because I had to purchase all those parts again. So for purchasing the initial price and then having to go back and call them and purchase more things because they failed first time around, can't say I'm too happy with Willwood. At this moment, I'm sure they'll be better, but I would, if I could do it over, I would just use the brackets to go with SN95 disc brakes. So sorry about the rant there. But yeah, anyway, all the stuff should be pretty cooled now with all the welding, so we're gonna give this guy a test run around the road and see how everything holds.